Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Mordy and Glory video. In today's episode we shall continue our analysis of the new 10th edition Guard Codex and the units contained within it. This time we're going to the very tippity top of the mountain with a review of the new Lord Solar Leontus. That's right, the new head honcho of the Imperial Guard will be entering the Mordy and Glory interrogation chamber, and we're going to be deciding whether he gets a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Is he a unit you're going to want to include in your army, or one you need to avoid like the plague? Well, without further ado, let's mount our robotic horse, don our Age of Sigmar helmet, and dive right into today's video. As it's fast becoming tradition in this series, we will start off with an overview of what the hell the Lord Solar Leontus even is. This is for you people who are brand new to 40k, getting to grips with the universe, or perhaps you're a veteran player who's getting into Guard for the first time. So here's the thing about our chum Leontus. He's a very new character, and as a result, he's got relatively limited lore. He was only introduced in the 9th edition book, and that only had about a 6-month lifespan before we've now driven into 10th edition. However, what we do know about Leontus is pretty interesting. Firstly, he has had the same warhorse for hundreds of years. In fact, his horse at this point is pretty much entirely cybernetic with very few organic parts left over. He himself is surprisingly old. His specific age isn't given, but it's hinted that he has been around for hundreds of years and he has gone through extensive rejuvenant treatment to keep him looking young, fit, and full of life. This long life, combined with his tactical brilliance, has allowed Leontus to climb to the top of the Imperial military, recently being bestowed the rank of Lord Solar. Traditionally, the Lord Solar has been responsible for the defense of the Sol system, ensuring that it is an irresistible bulwark through which no enemy could possibly penetrate. But Leontus sees things differently. He believes that the best form of defense is attack, and as a result, he has been leading many campaigns out against the enemies of the Imperium. Overall, he is presented to us as a strong, capable, and experienced leader of humanity's fighting forces. But how does this all translate onto the tabletop? Well, let's begin our analysis now by taking a look at his stat line. Starting off with that movement value, the Lord Solar can gallop around the battlefield 12 inches a turn. Not too bad, and considering you can attach him to Rough Rider squads, that's actually pretty helpful. You can keep up with the other cavalry in your army. Toughness of 4 makes him a little bit tougher than your standard Guard character, most of which are running around at that T3. A 3+ save is alright, but considering he has a 4+ invulnerable save built in, you're probably going to find yourself using that invulnerable save more than the armor save. 8 wounds does make him pretty chunky, but he has lost his ability from 9th edition, where he halved all incoming damage. So now if you get hit by the heavy bolter, he is going to take the full 2 wounds from it. Leadership 6 is okay. Any squad that you attach him to will receive a little bonus because the majority of Guard leaderships are 7 or higher. But I still think it's a little bit weak. Considering how important this guy is meant to be, you would expect him to have a leadership of 5. But I think Games Workshop is holding off on making super low leaderships because they want Battle Shock to actually feel impactful. And I can kind of understand that. Objective control of 2, I personally find to be fine. If anything, it's kind of amusing because you can assume that one of the objective control is coming from Leontus himself and the other one is coming from Constantine. As for his weapons, the Lord Solar's got some okay ones, I guess. Soul's Righteous Gaze is the Mega Pistol, which has got a 12-inch range with 2 attacks, Ballistic Skill 2+, Strength 8, AP 2, and 2 damage. Pretty much guaranteed to blow the head off a Space Marine Intercessor, given the chance. He also comes with the Blade of Conquest, which has got 6 attacks at Weapon Skill 2+, Strength 6, AP 2, and 2 damage. And interestingly, Constantine's Hooves are now a bunch of extra attacks that you get, essentially adding in 2 bolter shots in close combat. Now, by Guard standards, all of this seems pretty good. But remember, Lord Solar is our super unit. He is our Gilliman, our Lion, our Abaddon. And when you try and stack him up against those epic heroes, you start to feel like he's coming up a bit short. But the thing is that you have to remember the Lord Solar is a basic human. Sure, he's had some rejuvenation treatments. Sure, he's riding around on a robotic horse, but he is but a man nonetheless. As a result, his stat line and weapons are almost irrelevant. This is a guard character. Guard characters are not designed for combat. You have exceptions like Strachan, but by and large, the point of a guard combat character is to be a force multiplier. And this is where we should really judge the Lord Solar. And if you're new to 40k and you're thinking about picking this guy up, don't think of him as a combat beast that's going to gallop around the battlefield taking the heads off everyone he comes across. Think of him as a supreme commander, someone who's going to sit back and make the rest of your army better. So in this regard, how does the Lord Solar stack up? Well, good news everyone, because it seems like Games Workshop has actually understood the role this model is meant to play, and they've given him a whole host of brilliant battlefield abilities. Firstly, they've given him the core ability Leader. This means he can join other squads. This is very important. With his rather lackluster defensive stat line, he's going to need lots of guys around him to act as ablative wounds. I like the variety of units they've allowed the Lord Solar to join onto as well. You can give him a cavalry escort of Attilan Rough Riders or an elite bodyguard of Kazakin if you want to go for that quality vibe. Or you can join him into big blocks of infantry like Cadians, Katan Jungle Fighters, Deathgore Creek or infantry squads just to surround him with as many models as possible. On top of this, the new Lord Solar ability grants you an extra command point each one of your command phases. Now this might seem small, but it's actually really, really big, because every player in 40k now starts with 0 command points each game, and you slowly generate them over the course of the battle. Anything that lets you get ahead on the command points, anything that lets you get more than your opponent, means you're going to have access to more stratagems. And whilst there are less stratagems in the game, the ones that remain are very impactful. But wait, there's more! Because the Allegiate Astralex ability allows you to redeploy 3 units before the game begins. Now, any experienced player of 40k will tell you that redeploys are worth their weight in gold. They're extremely valuable. They allow you to do all sorts of cool tactical tricks. Firstly, you can bait and switch your opponent. Perhaps you take some of your more powerful units and you put them on your left flank. Your opponent sees this and thinks, that's where the main thrust is going to be. I need to put some of my strong units there to protect against it. Before the game begins, you use your redeploy and you switch those units over onto the right flank. Suddenly your opponent is wrong-footed. The units he needs to counter your big boys are now totally out of position and in the wrong place. And that might just allow you to get an early game lead before your opponent can properly respond. Or you can use it defensively. Perhaps you've got quite a large guard army and not everything can fit into the cover that's available. You don't want to put them out in the open, they'll just get scythed down at the beginning of the game. Instead, you deploy them and then just before the game starts, you go, you know what? Those exposed units, they're going to go in strategic reserve, keeping them safe, and I can bring them on when I need them. Just a very quick tangent for my 9th edition guardsmen who are coming in 10th edition. The Lord Soul ability is basically like his old Grand Strategist Warlord trait, but it's been improved now. You just get that CP back every single turn. You don't need to roll a 5+ for it. And the Collegiate Astralex allows you to essentially mimic the old Master Tactician Warlord trait as well. This is something you're going to notice as we do more of these unit reviews for the characters of the Guard. It seems like GW's just taken the old warlord traits and baked them into abilities on their data sheets. But that's enough of a diversion for now. Let's come back round to the topic at hand. And let's have a look at the main reason you're going to take the Lord Solar. Because all of his abilities that we've seen so far are nice. They're all right. That command point one's definitely really good. And his stat line's fine. But the star of the show is the fact that the Lord Solar can not only issue 3 orders, which is the most out of any guard character in the new decks, but he can issue them to any Astra Militarum unit. Mordian Glory, what's the big deal? The guy can issue orders. Of course he can. He's like the big main officer bloke. Yes, that is true. But normally orders have a very specific limitation. An infantry officer can normally only issue orders to regiment units, which basically means infantry and a couple of other bits. And a tank commander can normally only issue orders to squadron units, which includes anything up to a Rogue or Dawn, but not your super heavies, any kind of vehicle. The Lord Solar can issue his orders to any guard unit. There is no restriction. Do you want your Baneblade to take aim? He can do it. Do you want your big Bulgrim blob to fix bayonets? He can do it. He can order any unit in the game, and this is a huge force multiplier. If you are ever considering taking a super heavy, you need to basically take the Lord Solar as well. There's no question about it. There's no discussion, because without him, fundamental important units of the guard are going to go without the ability to get orders. Things like your new and improved, very affordable Shadow Swords aren't going to be anywhere near as effective if they don't have a Lord Solar babysitting them. And what's mad about this as well is he is a highly efficient source of orders, because the Lord Solar can not only issue 3 orders, not only can issue them to any unit that he wants, but also he comes in at a bargain points value of only 125 points. That is less than a tank commander. That's half the points of a tank commander. Tank commander can issue 1 order to 1 vehicle, not including super heavies. The Lord Solar can issue 3 orders to 3 vehicles, including super heavies. The Lord Solar costs the same as 2 platoon command squads, yet has more orders than them. It's just wild. He's a really good unit. He was already totally worth it with his other abilities, but those orders and the fact they can go on anything just makes him S tier instantly overnight, because the guard lives and dies on its orders, and the main job of orders is to act as force multipliers, and the main job of your officers is to do orders. So if you've got a bloke that can do them the best out of everyone else and for a fantastic price point, it's a no-brainer. You want to be including this guy in every single one of your guard lists. But all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think about the new Lord Solar down in the comment section below. Do you plan on running him, or are you going to buck the trend and look to some other officers instead? Of course, if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. If you found today's video particularly fun and informative, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon. By supporting the channel, you will not only help me create more Warhammer 40k videos, but also unlock a whole host of perks for yourself. The biggest of which being access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with over 1,500 active people. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for discussing tactics, army list, 10th edition, hobbying, painting, and even a pretty spicy meme area as well. And I'd just like to take a moment to say a big thank you to all of the latest channel members. So thank you to Scott Collins, Bad Bet, Daniel W, D-Day, Longcaster, Dragon Turtle, Lightning Stab, Rory Rochendale, Rev, Dan Mack, Brandon Ledford, M. Dole Stout, Andy Ramone, The Lilliputian, Effects, Matt Valentine, Sam Fisk, Ermit, Grim Byron, Lucy Bodham, Liam Bridgman, James Schaefer, Disman Pickman, Ill-Advised Records, Jonathan Corey, King Tiger the Great, Jono Williams, and The Raging Fury. Thank you guys for doing your part. I also want to shout out the latest Patreons as well, so a big thank you to James Kiddy, Apollo Stratus, Meg Sumner, The Dark Warfare, Benjamin Hilker, Charles Hartman, The Elder Kine, MP Bros 20, Dare Fish, Jeffrey Hill, Digit, Harsig Ruman, Conan Larkin, Deware7, Ewan Furs, Jesse Tucker, Jonathan Vega, Franz Calamari, Michael Straub, and Legendary Hot Dog. And last, but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreon supporters. These are the War Masters, the people that have gone above and beyond the Call of Duty. So a massive, heartfelt thank you to Alan Blunt III, Bonbon Vert, Mark Panconi, Ross Miller, Sulphur Trombone, John Stubbs, Diesel Fox, and August Varney. Thank you guys. Your incredible and generous support is a huge part of what allows me to do Mordian Glory full time. I hope you've all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.